The wind howled through the lonely canyons as rain hit the old cabin roof like falling tears. Inside, the widow sat by the dying fire, clutching a faded photograph of her late husband. Her hands trembled, not from the cold but from the fear that the man she'd heard about, the outlaw cowboy, was coming. People said he was dangerous, ruthless even. But no one told her he had once saved her life years ago, when she was too young to remember his face. Outside, the crunch of boots on gravel echoed. The widow's heart pounded. She pulled her shawl tighter and whispered to herself, "Please don't come inside." Her voice broke like the old wood under her chair. She knew who it was. The cowboy who had been riding from town to town, searching for something, or someone, to ease the torment in his soul. He'd finally found the cabin where she hid from the world. Jake Rollins, known in every saloon as the Dangerous One, stopped at her porch. His hat dripped with rain, his revolver glistened in the lantern light, and yet his eyes, they weren't cruel. They were tired, lonely, and haunted. He raised his hand to knock but hesitated. Somewhere deep inside, he wished she would open the door without fear, that she'd remember him not as the outlaw, but as the boy who once protected her. "Don't come any closer." Her trembling voice came through the door. Jake froze. "Ma'am, I ain't here for trouble," he said softly, his voice rough from years of dust and whiskey. "Then why are you here?" she shouted back, tears streaking her cheeks. He lowered his head. "Because you're the only good thing I ever knew." Inside the cabin, the widow's candle flickered. Memories she'd buried began to rise. She remembered a gunfight long ago, a young cowboy taking a bullet meant for her father. The boy's eyes had burned with the same sadness she saw tonight. Could this be him? The same boy turned into a feared man. Her breath caught in her throat. Jake turned away from the door and sat on the porch steps, rain washing the dust from his face. He didn't want to scare her. He only wanted to explain. But in this cruel world, men like him didn't get second chances. "I just needed to see you," he whispered to the storm. "One last time before I disappear." The widow watched through a crack in the door, torn between fear and pity. He looked broken, more human than dangerous. Every instinct told her to lock the door, but her heart whispered something else. "He saved my life once," she murmured. "Maybe he needs saving now." Lightning flashed, revealing his face clearly for the first time. She gasped. His scar, his jawline, it was him. The boy from her childhood, the one who vanished after that bloody night. Her knees weakened as realization struck. The outlaw everyone feared was the same man she once prayed would return. She slowly opened the door, just a crack. The rain blew in, chilling the room. "Jake, is that really you?" she asked. His eyes softened. "It's me, Lily. I reckon I'm not what you remember." She stepped closer, her heart racing. "Why did you come back?" Jake looked down at his gloved hands. "Because I couldn't forget the promise I made to your pa before he died, to protect you, no matter what it cost me." Her eyes widened. "My father, he never told me." Jake smiled sadly. "He didn't want you growing up with guilt, knowing a man lost his soul trying to keep his word." The fire cracked between them as silence filled the air. She wanted to believe him, but the world had taught her to distrust kindness. "People say you killed a sheriff, Jake." His jaw tightened. "I did, but he wasn't the law you think he was. He killed your father, Lily. I just gave him what he earned." Her heart stopped. The truth felt like lightning striking her chest. "You avenged him." Jake nodded slowly. "And that's when they branded me an outlaw." He took off his hat, revealing white streaks in his dark hair. "I've been running ever since, but never from what I did. Only from you, because I didn't deserve your forgiveness." Tears blurred her vision. For years, she'd hated the nameless killer who took her father's life. Now she stood before the man who had actually saved her family's honor. "Jake, all these years, I thought you were a monster." His lips curved into a faint smile. "Maybe I was, but not with you." Thunder rolled above them as if echoing their pain. She stepped closer, her hand trembling toward his. "Then come inside, Jake. The rain's too cold." He hesitated, eyes wet. "You sure, Lily? You said, don't come inside." She smiled faintly through tears. "I changed my mind." Paragraph 15. Jake hesitated on the porch, the rain pouring harder now. Every drop echoed the war inside him, between guilt and hope. He finally stepped in, boots dripping onto her wooden floor. The warmth of the fire hit his face, and for a moment, it felt like redemption. Lily stood still, her breath trembling as her eyes searched his. So many years, so many questions, and now the answers were standing right before her, wearing a soaked coat and a heart full of regret. The silence was thick, only the crackle of fire breaking it. "I thought you were dead," she said softly. "I wished I was," Jake replied. "After that night, I couldn't live with what I'd done, and what I'd lost." Lily frowned. "What you lost?" Jake looked at her with pain. "You, Lily. I lost you before I ever had the courage to say how I felt." Her heart skipped. For years, she'd dreamed of hearing those words from someone brave enough to mean them. She turned toward the fire, blinking back tears. "You killed for me, Jake. How do I forgive that?" He stepped closer, voice breaking. "Don't forgive the blood, Lily. Forgive the reason. I never wanted to be a killer. I just couldn't let evil win." She looked up slowly. His eyes glowed in the firelight, not as a monster's would, but as a man who carried pain heavier than bullets. Thunder rolled again, shaking the cabin. Jake removed his gun belt and placed it on the table, pushing it away like a man surrendering his past. "I'm done running," he said. "If you want me gone, I'll walk into that storm and never come back." His voice was steady, but his eyes pleaded silently, "Don't send me away." Lily looked at the door, then at the man before her. For years, she'd been alone, protecting her heart like a locked chest. Now, the man everyone feared had placed his life at her mercy. She walked closer, her voice shaking. "You've already been punished, Jake. Not by law, but by your own soul." He nodded faintly. "Every day." She reached for his hand. It was rough, scarred, yet trembling under her touch. "I don't know what tomorrow brings," she whispered, "but tonight, you don't have to be alone." Jake's eyes widened, then softened. "You sure you want a man like me here?" She smiled sadly. "You're the only one who ever stayed when everyone else left." The rain began to slow outside, as if even the sky was listening. Jake exhaled deeply, the weight of years lifting from his shoulders. "I've dreamed of this place," he murmured. "Of peace. Of you." Lily looked at him with tears glistening in her lashes. "Then stop dreaming, Jake. It's right here." Hours passed as they sat by the fire, speaking softly about the past, the promises, the scars, and the dreams they thought were lost. For the first time in years, Lily laughed, a sound so pure Jake could have sworn heaven paused to listen. "You still laugh the same," he said quietly. "And you still look at me like I'm not broken," he added, voice trembling. She looked at him gently. "You're not broken, Jake. You're just tired." He smiled faintly. "Maybe tired enough to stop fighting." She took his hand again. "Then rest. This house was always meant to heal the lost." The wind outside finally went still, like the mountains themselves had found peace. Morning came with golden light spilling through the window. The storm had passed. Jake stood at the doorway, watching the mist drift over the valley. Lily joined him, her shawl over his shoulders. "What now?" he asked. She smiled softly. "Now we live, Jake. One day at a time." He turned to her, emotion thick in his throat. "You don't care what the town thinks." She shook her head. "Let them talk. They never saw the man behind the gun." Jake's chest tightened. "You see him." She met his gaze with quiet strength. "I always did. I just didn't know it was you." He chuckled softly, brushing a raindrop from her cheek. "Guess you ain't the only one who changed their mind about letting me inside." She smiled through her tears. "I didn't just let you in, Jake. I let you stay." The warmth in her eyes made the whole world fade away. Jake took off his hat and placed it on the table, a silent promise that the outlaw was gone for good. "This is home now," he whispered. "No more running, no more gunfights." Lily placed her hand on his chest. "No more ghosts either." The fire crackled softly, filling the cabin with golden light. As the sun rose higher, the mountains gleamed with morning peace. The once feared cowboy and the lonely widow stood together, two souls that had finally found what they were both searching for: forgiveness, love, and belonging. The storm had tested them, but love had won. Outside, the wind whispered one last time, "Please, don't come inside." But this time, he already was. Heart.